And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I'd like to thank Days of Wonder for personally causing me great travail in taking this thing around. This is the Memoir campaign pack, and this is before I added in the expansions that I'm talking about today. I'm talking about two expansions because they actually kind of go hand in hand together. Memoir 44 is the nice thing about Memoir 44 is the ability to throw down a quick battle for me to play against you as quickly as possible. And the pundits aside, people saying, oh, it's not a good simulation of the war game. It simply is just a fun, fast war game. I have a great time playing it. But if you want something a little bit more involved, that's what these expansions add. The breakthrough scenarios are deeper, more contained, and provide maybe some more tactics. Let's take a look at the stuff. Here you'll notice the board. This is the regular Memoir 44 board. Well, this expansion, the Breakthrough expansion, actually comes with a much larger board, and it's like the last. It's made up of 9 panels. It comes with 2 boards actually. This is the Desert board, and you can see that it's basically the same thing, but a whole lot wider. And then I have on the other side Desert board is Winter, and then you have your Grassland board, which you can see here minus in 2 pieces because it's a lot more fragile, just because of the way they had to print this sucker. And they tell you to be careful with it, and I didn't do a very good job. Now, breakthrough scenarios aren't brand new. We've already seen them in some self-published ones, but this scenario, or this expansion, basically comes with these 2 boards, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, a book full of breakthrough scenarios. And you can see all the different scenarios that you can play on different terrain. If you haven't heard of one of these breakthrough scenarios before, basically my forces are here, your forces are here, they're scattered, there's a lot more going on the board. Sometimes you're in each other's faces, sometimes you got forces back behind enemy lines, and everything is being played on this giant board. So, that's the one expansion I'm talking about. If you like the breakthrough expansions, or the scenarios, where it's deeper, it's a longer game. I'll say a breakthrough takes closer to 90 minutes to 2 hours, rather than the hour that most Memoir scenarios take. Then this is something you're going to want to get, to have these extra boards. Now, the next expansion I want to talk about, which fits into this, is Winter Wars. Now, Winter Wars adds a lot of stuff to the game. Basically, I would say that if you got the Eastern Front expansion, this is kind of a expansion to that. There's more. In fact, and the reason I want to talk about this in conjunction with the other reviews, in the back you can see there's different scenarios in the winter terrain. And then there's several scenarios near the end that are breakthrough scenarios. So this breakthrough board is not the be-all, end-all of the breakthrough scenarios. In fact, this Winter Wars expansion comes with a deck of breakthrough cards. Now, I'm not sure why they didn't include them with the breakthrough deck. Maybe it was for price purposes, but it would be nice, I guess, if Winter Wars would say breakthrough compatible. I don't know. But anyway, what this deck are, this is the same size and the same background as regular command cards. In fact, you can mix them together if you want, but these cards are tailored towards the breakthrough scenarios, mostly for movement purposes. For example, on this probe card here, it says order 2 units on the left flank plus 2 on the move. What that means is you move 2 units on your left flank like normal, and then 2 other units you can move anywhere on the board. They can't attack, but they can move. And there are many of those cards in a deck. There's also a few other changes, but this is the main addition that Winter Wars adds, I think, is the breakthrough stuff. Winter Wars also adds a few new units. There's the machine gun nest. There's this one I think is interesting, Winter Weather, which has a lot to do with many of the scenarios here where armor and vehicles can only move 2 hexes, and there's different dangers. It adds rules for half-tracks and tank destroyers and mortars and anti-tank guns, and it comes with the counters for all those. In fact, it comes with a whole whopping set of winter tiles. These are double-sided tiles. There's nothing really that new here. There's some new stuff, snow-covered church and thus. But it's mostly all the same tiles that you got in the original game, just winterized. Now, there already has been some winter tiles included with previous expansions, but this should be enough where you can play pretty much any winter scenario. Finally, there is an extra deck of card called, and you can see with the snowy background here, it's a combat deck that's used for winter scenarios. This combat deck can be used, it's very similar, actually it's almost identical in how it's played to the city fighting deck, where you get these cards, you get a couple cards depending on the scenario, and you get more of them when you play the recon cards. And so I think this adds more strategy. It definitely can make the game more powerful. It allows for ambushes, allows you to add frozen ground to the game. They're neat, and then several of the cards are marked with a snowflake in the corner, which allows them to be used for an action of your choice that basically it's bitter resistance, and it increases the flag of a unit that you have had an attack rolled against. So while these, I don't think they're game breakers, they certainly up the ante of damage that's being done. So this expansion comes with several scenarios and lots of new rules for the different terrains, which is mostly the same, different units, how to handle this new command card deck, and a whole command card deck for this. I honestly think that if you're going to get these expansions, you should get them both at the same time, or get neither. You might notice that I'm not even talking about to anyone other than the Memoir 44 fans at this point, because I don't see why you would have stuck around after so many expansions. So, to the Memoir 44 fans out there, obviously some of you out there buy every expansion as it comes out, fine. But if you're picking or choosing amongst expansions, then I would suggest getting these two together. The breakthrough scenarios, that's not for everybody. I can understand that sometimes it's more setup, there's, it's a longer game, and some people like Memoir as a shorter, faster, more fun game. I like the breakthrough scenarios. I actually like regular scenarios or Overlord scenarios better, but I'm not opposed to breakthrough scenarios. In fact, sometimes I'm in the mood for that kind of a meaty of a game. And so this provides that, and the whole winter scenarios on top of it, those are amongst my favorites. So these are both very good. Check them out.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.